Yo, what's going on, y'all? It's Combo Breaker 99. I'm back with another video. All right, y'all. This past Saturday, wow, really shook up the game, man. This one win really put a big shake up in the bantamweight division. Not just the women's bantamweight division, but I think in WMMA period. Seeing what Juliana Pena did, I really think it kind of put a fire up under a lot of these fighters, and it kind of made them reassess things. You know what I mean? Which is a good thing. That's why I say shout out to Juliana Pena because, she really did just talk herself into a title shot. And not only did she talk it, she backed it up. She talked it and she walked it. And I think that's what a lot of these ladies they can learn from. Juliana Pena, she shook up the bantamweight division, and it needed the shakeup. It really did need the shakeup because I think that where the bantamweight division was going, it was really in a dry spell. It still needs a lot of new blood now, but it's just been in a place where you had such a dominant champion, and then you have a lot of older fighters as well. So it was really making for almost like very much like a graveyard to a lot of people. They've been saying that it's dead. And, I didn't ever think it was dead, but I just felt like it was just drier than the other divisions like 115 and 125. You know what I mean? Like, I think that with the combination of a dominant champion that can just run through everybody and having a lot of fighters just kind of sit dormant and just be in the sleep state, and, a lot of fighters that already faced Amanda Nunes, it just kind of made for, like boring entertainment for a lot of people, because this is still the entertainment business. So, it just needed a real shakeup. And I'm kind of, like I said, I'm glad that Juliana Pena, she came through and, she did what she did. I like Amanda Nunes, I like Pena, though. I just felt like Juliana Pena, she really did kind of wake it up. And it should have a lot of these fighters thinking, well, for one, it's definitely putting options in her friend's mind. The former bantamweight champion from a few years back, Miesha Tate, because that's what I'm going to talk about in this video here, because Miesha Tate, she's definitely feeling the effects of this shakeup in the bantamweight division, because y'all know Miesha Tate, her plan was to come back, be that first mom champion, and become that two-time bantamweight champion and try to avenge that loss to Miesha Tate. Avenge that loss to Amanda Nunes, right? But those plans changed because Juliana Pena got there first, and she pulled it off. She pulled it off big time, and I knew that would have Miesha Tate thinking. It would definitely have her thinking because, she's friends with Juliana Pena, and she doesn't want to fight her, which I'll talk about here in a minute. But, yeah, now that this big shakeup has happened, Miesha Tate, she's really feeling those effects because now she's looking at options, and she's wondering if she's still going to stay in this division because she's, wondering if Juliana Pena will still be champion, which she feels like she has a good chance to. So her next option is possibly 125. I talked about this in the live stream a little bit last night, but yeah, Miesha Tate is considering going down to 125. She says she can make 125, or if need be, Juliana Pena can move down to 125. So let's talk about this, man. I mean, there's been a lot of bantamweights moving down to 125, so it could very much be possible, but it's almost kind of hard to see her at 125, in my opinion, just when she's fought at this weight for so long. And there was just a point where she was putting on the muscle where, to me, I almost thought she was going to 145. And, she's in her 30s now. She's a mom. She's definitely putting on extra weight now. That's how it is for women. But she did say she could make that weight. So I'm just kind of wondering. But let me pull up this interview here. I went through it a little bit last night, but I just kind of wanted to cover it with y'all here again, in case y'all missed the live stream. So, Miesha Tate had this to say. She said, "This definitely changes the entire landscape of the bantamweight division." Yeah, which it does. I think what will be next will be Amanda versus Julie, the rematch. All signs point to that will be the next fight. And I think Juliana wins that fight again, especially because Amanda Nunes has already been broken by her once. I believe Juliana can definitely do that again, probably with more ease in the second fight. I need to get in the win column again, so I'll probably fight in March. Probably is what I'm looking at. I don't want to fight Juliana because I've been rooting for her for so long. So she's looking to come back in March. So she's probably thinking now, like, I might test this thing out. I might try to move down to flyweight in March, given if the rematch is solidified, the rematch is official for Nunes Pena. She's probably going to either try to fight at 135 one more time to wait on those results, but other than that, she's looking at 125, I think, to try to come back in the spring and maybe give it a test run, because she knows that Juliana Pena has that confidence and the skills to possibly pull off another win over Amanda Nunes. And if she does, she went on and said, look, I'm not really keen on fighting her. I don't want to fight her because, I've been rooting for her for so long, which I can respect that. Let's talk about that part, the whole friendship fighting thing. I know I said one thing, but you got to look at what I'm talking about. Like, I talked about this before, friends fighting, training partners fighting. When you're on the lower level and you're just coming into the game, you just meet somebody, yes, you two should have that type of you two should have that type of outlook on the fight game. Like, we could possibly be fighting. We're in the same division. We might have to fight. I just met you. Hey, you're cool. We're like co-workers, but we're going for the same thing. And only one person can be champion, right? You have to have that mindset, that mind state. But in this case with Pena and Tate, I can respect theirs a little bit more because they have that bond. They've known each other for, almost 10 years now. She's cornered Juliana Pena in the tough house, and I could already see that bond they had back then. And she's always rooted for her, like she said. She was the trainer, she was the, she was the coach, and she was the fighter. So they built that bond throughout the years. So I can understand where she's coming from, where she's just telling you straight up, like, I can't fight her, or I hope not to fight her, because if she's already saying that now, then it's going to affect the performance. It's going to affect how they fight. It's going to affect the energy going into this thing. It could really put a strain on their relationship. And if they feel their relationship is that important, then I wouldn't want to see them fight, especially when they have more years invested in them being friends and never having to compete, right? So their friendship outweighs the fight game here. So I respect that choice, because if they're like that, if they're like having that sisterhood, then fine, because we see, brothers in boxing, they never fight, or, the sisters never gonna fight, like Shevchenko's sisters. You got the Klitschko brothers, they could share titles in the heavyweight division. They just ran it together. The Charlo brothers, they fight 160 and 154. You know what I mean? So I can understand where they're coming from. If their bond is that tight, then they shouldn't have no need to fight. So if she is trying to find another way to avoid that, I can respect that. 125. I just have to see how she would look. You know what I mean? So if she's coming down maybe in March, if she wants to come back in March, that might be the time to test it out. Because, yeah, if she feels Pena could win again, she'll probably never get a shot at the bantamweight title, right? Now, if Pena loses to Amanda Nunes, then, yeah, she probably won't have to go up, because then she could avenge that loss to Nunes and become the two-time bantamweight champion like she wants to. But, yeah, like she said here, a lot can change between now and then, so I have to win and do my job. So I think what I really got to do is just win and focus on that. If Juliana's still the champion by that time that I get there, then I think that's a conversation we have at that time. I probably got to get 2 wins until I'm looking at a championship fight at least. So I've got to focus on me. I'm going to continue to cheer on Juliana and pray that we don't ever have to fight each other. So, yeah, she's probably thinking, okay, I got to get 2 wins to get back into that talk, because she's coming off a loss to Ketlin Vieira, right? She's coming off that loss, so she has to get 2 good wins, possibly Aspen Ladd or somebody like Irene Aldana to even be near that. So by then, the results will be out, the rematch will already be done, and that can kind of carve out her path. But again, if Juliana Pena wins, that option of going down is there. But also, she said it's there for Juliana Pena. Like, if Juliana Pena was to lose, she could move down to 125 as well, because she said this, look, I know that Juliana Pena can make 125 and I can make 125. There's also those things out there. So it's not out of the question for either of us to go hunting Valentina Shevchenko at some point. There's a lot of dynamics. I know she really wants that fight too, so we have to see what happens if everything continues to play out in that direction. There's always that possibility of us going to 125 for either of us too. So she's not saying they're both going to go down in the paid flyweight. I think it really just depends on who wins and who loses this title fight coming up, this rematch, right? So, again, I respect that here, because it's like they're taking it into their own hands, like a partnership to decide their futures. You know what I mean? Like, to avoid the fight, they're willing to take on other challenges. And as long as they're going for gold and that's their plan, you have to respect that. You have to respect that. So if Pena wins the rematch and she holds the bantamweight title, I think Tate would probably go down and try to fight Valentina. She'd probably go that route to try to be a champion there. If not, the reverse will happen. If Pena loses the rematch with Nunes, then she'll probably go for revenge against Shevchenko or win 25, right? And then Tate could stay at 135. So they kind of have it fleshed out in a way where, of course, not everything plays out the way you want it, but they have it fit in a way where they're not just trying to avoid the fight and they're just not prolonging anything, or they're not ducking champions. At least they are talking about fighting champions You know what I mean? And they are trying to set something up that could still make the fans happy, right? Like I said, the only big question here is really, can they make 125? Yeah, they can make 125, but can they make 125 and look good, right? Can they not have it affect their performances? You know, that's what I'm worried about with Miesha Tate having never fought at this weight. But then I go back and look at other fighters like Caitlin Chikagan and big flyweights like Lauren Murphy who make it, and you know they performed at a high level, right? And of course until they got to the champion. But Lauren Murphy and Jennifer Maia, Caitlin Chikagan, they all were former bantamweights, you know, that moved down to flyweight. You know, when that division opened up, a lot of bantamweights came down. So it's very much possible that Miesha Tate probably could make that weight. You know, I think she just has to give it a test run in like March or something, like if she really wants to do that. Because when you think about it too, like she didn't look the strongest at bantamweight, in my opinion, against Ketlin Veria. And, you know, these girls have gotten bigger and they've been evolving. So somebody like Ketlin Veria that could just piece her up and just keep her on the outside like this, I don't know if she'll ever get to run for a title at bantamweight. So she might be eyeing those options. She probably went back and looked at that fight with her and Ketlin Veria and was like, man, that girl is big. Like, I couldn't even put a dent in her because, yeah, none of her punches really affected Ketlin Veria. Then you got to think about fighters even like Yana Kunitskaya. You know, Yana Kunitskaya is in there, and she's a big bantamweight. Aspen Ladd's not like a huge bantamweight. She's just undisciplined bantamweight, but she also has size to her. So I think she has been considering all of that, and you know, she's probably been kind of working on her body, and you know, she definitely has been trimming off a lot of the fat and everything. So she probably has been looking at that option since, you know, even before, you know, Pena won the fight. She probably said, oh man, if Pena wins this fight and I don't want to fight her, I might have to move down to flyweight. I might have to join some of these other bantamweights and move down. So it's an option. But again, I'm looking at that age. You know, Miesha Tate is what, 35? Yeah, she's like 35 years old. Can she making it look good? Because the fighters like Lauren and Caitlin Chikagan, you know, they moved down at a younger age. They did move down at a younger age. So, hey, we'll see how that works out. Because, yeah, 5'6", 35 years old. We really got to we really got to take that into consideration too, and she does too as a fighter. But yeah, that's my thoughts on that. Could she, you know, compete against some of the top level flyweights other than the champion? I'm sure. Yeah, like she could probably, you know, get a win over Lauren Murphy or, you know, Jennifer Maia. But taking on the champion, Valentina Shevchenko, that's a different story. I mean, she has the height and the reach, but I don't know what type of problems that she really posed before the champion like Valentina Shevchenko when it comes down to it. Now, if Juliana Pena was to lose against Nunes and move down to 125, that would be interesting. You know, that would be interesting because I'd like to see what Juliana Pena could bring to the table. But again, moving down to 125, that might affect her performance, you know. So I'm a little on the fence with it. I mean, if Tate's not really going to be able to compete against these big bantamweights, then yeah, why not give it a shot, right? I mean, I'm looking at the poll here. I put up a poll the other day, and you know, I asked that question: Miesha Tate at 125, yay or nay? 51% of y'all said yes. 49% said no. So the yays win for now. So yeah, let's see it. Let's see how it happens, because if she continues to go in there and get mauled and just pieced up, and she can't, you know, stop these big fighters like Yana Kunitskaya or Ketlin Veria, or even tall fighters like Irene Aldana, then, you know, yeah, maybe she needs to compete against fighters like Chikagan and Maia at this point. You know, give it a shot. Why not, right? So yeah, guys, let me know in the comment section, because a lot of y'all don't want to see her fight Nunes again too if Nunes got it. So why not, right? And she's not going anywhere. But as for Pena, I honestly wouldn't want to see Pena at 125, because I don't know if she could handle Valentina with that same physical pressure, dropping that weight, because this is where Shevchenko thrives. Like, Shevchenko looks good and she's physically strong and she's all around in her element at flyweight. See, at bantamweight, I think that the physical strength and the physical approach really went into the advantage of Juliana Pena, you know. So if Juliana Pena and Shevchenko were to fight again, I'd want it to be at 135, honestly. Yeah, that's my thoughts. But let me know, guys, what y'all think of this whole situation. These girls want to shift down to 125. Do you see it happening? Let me know. Combo Breaker 99. I'm out. Subscribe. Peace.